Hey, Dave Whitney here. Thank you very much for joining me. So I was wondering, if I give you a simple melody and I ask you to wrap as much musical art around that as you possibly can to make it as interesting and diverse and as rich a listening experience as you possibly can, what would you come up with as a player? What's really your full capacity when it comes to taking a melody and expanding upon it on the guitar. Now, obviously, the melody that you would choose would affect your capacity, and the more interesting the melody, the more interesting the possible results could be. But I just wanted to keep it simple, and I wanted a tune that, without any bias or anything like that, that was well known. So I chose Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as the tune. Now, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the melody is very, very simple. I'm going to do it in C major, right? It's just C, G, A, G, F, E, D, C. G, F, E, D, G, F, E, D, and finishes the same way. C, G, A, G, F, E, D, and C. So there's your simple melody, right? And I was thinking, okay, if I gave that to you, if you took that, what could you do with it, right? What could you make that simple tune? Rather than give you a backing track and say, oh, just shred a whole bunch of shit over the top of that, what could you actually do with that tune? Like, what could you create around the tune? And it's a very different way of looking at what is a good guitar player, in my opinion. And of course it won't appeal to nearly as many people as here's a backing track, play a bunch of shit over it, right? This will appeal to the musicians, okay, who will say, you know what, I can wrap this chord around that, and I can use that timing, and I can put this bass inflection in there, and so forth. And that's what I want to hear. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so to sort of, for those who've never really thought about this, or where would you start? Well, you could start with simple things, like you could start with harmonizing. You know, you're doing all that sort of stuff. For, you know, as a second step, you might look at the chords that actually make up the piece, like the C and the E minor and the F, you know, the D minor and the G, that make up the basic backing. And you might say, okay, I could put the melody with the backing, and I could do a... where are we? That sort of thing. You can play with the timing a little more. You might play with the notes a little bit more, and in the chords, and make more interesting chords, you know. Well, what would be an example? Oh yeah, so... yeah, where are we? Make it a little more interesting with the chords you choose to use. You know, really what I'm saying is how far could you take it, and how absolutely amazing experience could you make this simple tune to listen to? Because that, to me, is a test of your true musicianship. Now, I'm not here to test you. I mean, please don't get the wrong idea by this. I'm not here to say you're better than you, or you're better. It's all about exploring the extents of your own musicality. And I guess too that's not a popular topic, because a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to recognize their flaws. They only want to show off their strengths and all the rest. Well, you know what? You got to get over that, and you got to say to yourself, the only way I'm ever going to move forward is if I look at my weaknesses and I embrace those weaknesses, and I I work through them so that they're no longer there, so that they don't exist. I'm not going to keep putting band-aids over my wounds, my musical wounds, and then I'm going to move forward as a player, and I'm going to never be afraid of the things that I can't do. But in fact, I'm going to use those as my teachers, because they're the catalyst. Those new experiences are the catalyst for development and growth in your playing. Growth in your playing does not come from repeating the same thing you did before faster. Okay, that's not really growth. Okay, you end up like the petrol engine after a while. You're the same as you always were. You're just a little more efficient, right? And you haven't really developed. So we don't want to be that dinosaur. And maybe you do. Maybe you look at what I'm saying and you don't like it at all, and it doesn't appeal to you. Well, okay, so you're not ready, and that's fine. No judgment upon you for that. But I'm just saying, to those people who are looking to try and take their music somewhere else, this is a good approach. This is a solid, usable, useful approach. What can I do with something simple? How interesting can I make it? Yeah? And what would I need to learn? What would I need to develop in my own playing in order to make it even more interesting than I can at the moment? Who would be able to do that? What sort of player would do that? And you know what? Hopefully out there I can get some replies to this video with some people showing me some very inventive concepts for what they can do with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Some very creative musical concepts, and they will serve as the guideposts and so forth for other players. They will serve as being the challenge or the goal of other players, and that will cause other players to extend their own capacities, and to think outside their own personal box. We each have a personal box we live in. No matter how good we are, we each have limits that we tend to play within. So I'm looking forward to seeing how players over this side inspire players over this side, and so forth and so on. We all inspire each other by what we do, and I would truly hope that I could foster that sharing and that knowledge base and that inspiration base that we all have when we look at other players. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Remember, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It could be very, very basic and boring, or it can be the most amazing thing to listen to, depending on how creative you are. So give me some video feedback on this one if you come up with anything. Don't be afraid of being judged, all right? I'm not afraid of being judged. You can say what you want about me and my playing. I don't care. I'm just me, okay? And you need not be afraid of anyone judging your playing, okay? So do what you can, post a video, embrace the experience. Thank you very, very much for watching. You'll take care, and I'll see you next time.